I'm pushing up, I'm pushing up. Rotate.
Bruno, they're rotating back, they're rotating back, they're rotating back.
You're gonna go, just rotate, guys, just rotate, give it up, just give it up. Nice, rotate.
Greetings, gamers, and welcome to episode number 27 of the Rotation with Zhack. And I guess you could say this marks season number 2. The Call of Duty League season has concluded from Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War, and we are headed into Vanguard. There is so much going on that we have to talk about, and you better believe that these episodes will stay consistent through the off-season because we can't skip a beat. I gotta keep you guys informed, give you my hot takes about the Call of Duty League, whether it be players, rosters, or just the game in general, my predictions, fantasy Call of Duty. You know that the Rotation with Zhack is the home for all of that information. I appreciate each and every one of you for tuning in. Season 2 of the Rotation is here. I couldn't be more excited. We already had one episode, starting with Rostermania, the early stages of it, so if you haven't seen that video, go back on the channel, check it out so you get brought up to speed, because a lot of the topics today will be piggybacking off of those, so you gotta bring yourself up to speed, get with the times, because we're ready to talk some Call of Duty. Oh yeah, and as per usual, I have my trusty companion, my sidekick, Murph the Man, in the house to talk everything Call of Duty League related. So without further ado, let's get it going. There's so much to get into today. Hop in to some first blood. We're gonna wait on the Rostermania stuff. I'm gonna tease you guys a little bit there. We're not gonna get straight into that. We have to cover some things first. As many of us know, and many of us played, the Call of Duty Vanguard Beta has just concluded today. I'm recording this episode Wednesday, the 22nd of September at 3:26. So it ended, I think 11 o'clock my time here in Arizona. We're going to get my reactions, what I think this means for competitive Call of Duty, and how things will shape up. So my initial reaction of the Vanguard Beta, I had a lot of fun. And breaking news to you guys, this guy right here is a free agent for the upcoming season. I dropped a nuke today. I mean, I was getting dogs on a consistent basis, just absolutely smoking everybody. It was intense. The gameplay was fun, but I have to give you guys a disclaimer about the actual game as far as graphics, FPS, and performance and all that. I'm still playing on a PS4. I haven't gotten a PC yet, and I know that they've geared a lot of it towards next-gen consoles, whether it be PS5, the Series X, or everyone who's on the PC wave now. I had the beta on the PS4, Nuclear.
and you know, the graphics were, it's what I'm used to with Call of Duty, because this is what I've played on. I've played on Xbox 360, Xbox One, and now the PS4. So it's what I'm used to. It's nothing special because I have played on my brother's PC, and that's like day and night. So it's like, whoa. So I'm not getting the most out of my PS4 for seeing what Vanguard is capable of, for running it at in certain frames and how the performance is. So this isn't like a review of the game. Oh, this looked good, that looked good. This is strictly my review of how the gameplay felt and what I think it'll do for the competitiveness of the Call of Duty League in the upcoming season. So like I said, I was frying with these guns, and that's going to bring me to my first point, my first review of everything. I thought the gunplay was really nice. That and the movement, everything was pretty smooth for a beta, and it just reminds me, like a lot of people have been saying, it's basically a combination of a World War II setting, but the Call of Duty Modern Warfare engine from 2019. We have auto tac sprint, there's slide canceling, you can break through doors, bunny hop, all of those mechanics are the exact same. I didn't think Modern Warfare was a bad game. I didn't think Cold War was a bad game. I think a lot of people live with nostalgia, and everyone just sees all these new games like, oh, it'll never be MW2. Well, you never really played MW2 competitive. You remember pub stomping, getting nukes, using noob tubes, one-man army on Wasteland, and that's how you enjoyed the game with all of your friends. You were in junior high, high school, so the memories were great. Everyone would get online at the same time right when you got home from school, and that is why you think that's the best game ever. And I'm in the same spot as you. I think Modern Warfare 2 is probably my favorite game of all time because of the memories I had with it. But from a competitive standpoint, the games for the past few years, they haven't been bad. In my opinion, Jetpack COD is way better for competitive, but we've had to deal with this. I think Black Ops 4 had a good run. World War II was all right. And then we got into Modern Warfare and then Cold War, and now we're back into Vanguard. So I think the gunplay is really good. Everything shoots nicely. It feels good. I mean, the recoil, it's a little bit harder to control, I think, which is good for skill gap, but that's just for the general public. That's not going to cause any sort of a challenge to professional Call of Duty players. So I think everything is good. I mainly used the STG, the MP40, and then the Tommy gun. Everything was good. I think the way that the pros were playing the game from watching streams, it's the MP40 and the STG and the bar is what everyone's looking at. We don't know what's going to get GA'd, how that's going to happen, but to circle all the way back around and make it short, sweet, and to the point. The gunplay felt good. The movement felt good in my opinion too. I mean, the auto tac sprint, you can be a menace on the map. I already know that Shotzi probably has a million different ways to break cameras and figure out how to do things because that's just the kind of guy he is. He's a menace. He's a crackhead on the sticks. I don't know how he does it, but he does it. So that all felt good. But to talk further in depth about the guns, I think the customization of everything is a little bit nutty and overwhelming in my opinion. There's like a billion attachment combinations that you can have for every single gun, and I know that a lot of this will probably be GA'd and it'll be slimmed and narrowed down to where pros are probably using 2 variations of the STG and the bar and then a variation or 2 of the MP40 or the Tommy gun, whatever they find relevant for the SMG. And just like any other game, one of them will be catered probably towards long distance fighting, damage, and recoil control, and then the other one will be catered towards movement speed, flying around the map, running routes, and things of that nature. So while the gun customization is intimidating at first sight to the general public, I think the pros are going to get it figured out. They'll have everything dialed in and they know what they're going to work with when the game comes out and when it drops. I mean, people are already playing S&D tourneys, figuring out their classes, and it is what it is. We're going to get there over time. I think one thing that can trigger some people and what everyone observed a lot of from this game, to add on to my review, is the fact that Dead Silence is back to being a field upgrade. It's not a perk, it's a field upgrade, and we know we had mixed reviews about it in the past. I don't think I necessarily like it. I think to have it be used to take up a slot in your perk inventory makes you and forces you to make decisions, if you will. Like, for example, that third perk, if it's Ninja or Dead Silence, whatever it may be, and that pairs up with you not being able to have, let's say, Tac Mask or something like that, then you have to make a decision of what you want to run. And typically what we've seen in recent history, in respawns, players don't really care to run Dead Silence. You know, they're running around the map, they're slaying out, it doesn't really matter. And then in Search and Destroy, you adapt, you put Dead Silence on. But this now, it's a field upgrade, so it changes things up. You have to utilize it at the correct time. Let's say in a respawn, you get your field upgrade for Dead Silence, you're trying to rotate around, make a play, that's when you're going to pop it. And then in Search and Destroy, you'll save it for, you know, quick hits or flanks and routes just like you would in respawns. So there comes a point where you have to strategize your Dead Silence, communicate within the course of the game with your teammates of when you're going to use it, who's going to save it for what round. So I think it brings a tactical sort of aspect of things to gameplay, but I really would prefer to see it as a perk, I think. Like I mentioned, other than that, I mean, the gameplay felt good. I'm nasty, of course, dropping nukes left and right, but I think we're in for a good year. I don't think we can judge too much early on because I think every single year we're all so excited. Oh, the new COD's coming out. Then we play the beta, we get a little bit of a taste of it for a weekend, and it's like, oh yeah, I'm going to like it. This is going to be the best game ever. Then it comes out, we play it for a couple of weeks, and we make our true decision, and we formulate our actual opinion. I think it probably feels better than the original World War II for what we saw. I think there's some mechanics and things that I don't really like. I mean, running through doors and the breakable structures and everything, it's like, that's going to last for the first portion of the map if it's a respawn, and then I guess it'll be there at the beginning of every round in Search and Destroy. But I have seen settings where you can adjust that and take out those features, I believe. So I'm curious if the CDL rule set will accommodate that, take out the breakable walls and all that sort of, you know, mumbo jumbo just to add to the game, because it's kind of like, it's whatever. It's, you know, Battlefield has that stuff with the structural aspect of the game where you can break through walls and start the game off like that, but then everything ends up being broken a minute and a half into the game. So I don't really know how I feel about that. I guess it could be cool from a game design aspect, but other than that, I like it straightforward. Clearly, it's a more fast-paced World War II game, which I enjoy. So I can't say if this is going to be a great CoD competitive or a crappy competitive CoD. Time will tell, but I think there's hope. I think there's promise. That's my initial reaction of the Vanguard Beta. Now let's go ahead, hop right into it. The next segment we have to get into, it's the Barracks news and notes from around the league. So piggybacking off my initial reaction of how I feel from the Vanguard Beta is some news that's leaked out that we've seen. I've heard from CDL Intel, they've dropped that there's a possibility that ranked play will be included right away. I think that's a great step for the game. If we're able to do that, grind that, see where everyone falls in the rankings and how the professional players enjoy it. Obviously, it's still kind of like pub stomping to them, even though the skill base will be there a little bit higher. I think it's a good sign to have competitive for the entire Call of Duty scene to be able to enjoy that right off rip. I think it's a good thing. I think it's, manageable, and they should have it at the beginning of every single game, but we haven't in recent history, so it could be a benefit to see how pros like it. We could see the skill set, how things will shape up initially for the CDL season as far as rules go, as far as what maps and modes will be played, because from the beta, I don't really know if I feel like any of those maps are viable to be in the competitive playlist and what we'll see in the CDL season. But I hope we get maps from this game and we don't just keep stealing from former Call of Duties, because I kind of hate when we do that and just recycle old stuff. That's the first thing we had to get out of the way for today. Now, the rest of this episode, like I said, things are going to be short and sweet for the Rotation with Zhack through the offseason, because I'm not just going to mamble and mumble on and continue to talk. I want things to be viable topics, get you guys the information you need to hear, my reactions, my opinions on things, and then we're on with it. So what we're going to get into now is we have to talk about the second form of Rostermania that's happened. I know in the last episode, we talked about Envoy, Crim6, Formal retiring, and then a couple of squad wipes from the Seattle Surge and others. But now there has been more news that has released. So let's get into it and let's talk about it. And we have to hop over to breakingpoint.gg. These guys do it right. They're incredible. They're on top of the news. Them, CDL Intel, that is where I go for everything. So let's talk about how we feel about what has happened throughout Rostermania, starting from the top, just going to the bottom, because we know we've seen the older stuff. Give the knee-jerk reaction of what we feel with everything. The first piece of news that you see with the roster move is that Toronto Ultra have decided that they're going to stay the exact same. Cammy, Kleenex, Bance, and Insight. I think that's obviously the right move to make. They were just a couple of steps away from being at the top of the pedestal in the Call of Duty League, and they got there. They won a major. They took down the Atlanta FaZe early in the season. This team was definitely talented enough. Insight, I think he can only go up from where his rookie season was. Bance is a great leader on this team, and then Cammy and Kleenex are just pivotal parts, and everyone just kind of forms together on this team. They're honestly the European Atlanta FaZe. Everybody knows their role, and all of these players on the Toronto Ultra can pop off any given series and be the difference maker. I really like what they've done to stick together. Now we'll see if it pays off, because obviously what is happening through this next Call of Duty season with Vanguard is everybody is going to be gunning for the Atlanta FaZe. They have a target on their back. They were clearly the best team in the league last season. Nobody could really beat them. I mean, I know that Ultra beat them in a major, and then they got smoked in a major, getting beaten by Seattle on LAN, and that was kind of like, whoa, that's a wake-up call. But realistically, throughout the entirety of the season, Atlanta FaZe were dominant, and I anticipate them to pick up right where they left off in this next season. Toronto Ultra gave them a big run for their money. I expect them to be good right off the rip in the game. I feel like they learned things pretty quickly, and they did last year. So I'm excited to hear that this roster has stayed together, and we'll really see what happens with the Toronto Ultra. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. From all these takes that I'm giving, what team do you favor headed into the season? What roster moves do you like? So on and so forth. So the next one we get, it was a big bomb. It is the LA Guerrillas trying to make their organization relevant, and I respect it. This is a team that was really a laughingstock of the Call of Duty League throughout their first 2 seasons. I mean, they were just battling from the bottom up, and they were really never able to make anything happen. So what they do, it's been announced, Slasher, Hook, Asim, and Gunless will be the roster. I think you have a great foundation with Slasher and Gunless, 2 veteran assault rifle players who have done it time and time again. They've seen success. Gunless on E United, he was an absolute beast, and then all the way back with Team Envy, Slasher has gotten it done. He's won championships, and Hook, despite all of the stuff that happened away from the game last year, the questions of his character, if he'll be able to even play in the CDL, the entire spelling his name wrong, COVID test, all of that debacle. I want to try my best to put it on the back burner and just look at Hook as a player. He's a stud. Like, he is an absolute menace on the map. He's one of the top submachine gun players from a talent perspective. His IQ is good. I know he'll sacrifice and make the right plays because Slasher won't let him do anything else. Slasher's an incredible leader. He'll get him in check, and I think that, you know, a second chance for Hook this upcoming season is big for him. I hope he can keep everything together. The chemistry of this team will be good because this is the opportunity for the Los Angeles Guerrillas to be able to make a name for themselves in the Call of Duty League and be relevant. The last person to talk about on that team is Asim. I mean, he's really a sacrificial player. He's the kind of guy that you want on the team because he'll do whatever you need him to. He's a role player. He'll step into a spot, run the route that you need him to. He's not going to be greedy. He doesn't have to be the superstar. He doesn't have to be the best person on the map any given time. He just wants to win. He just wants to do what is right. We saw that with the New York roster last year. He stepped into that role, and it's kind of comparable here with the Los Angeles Guerrillas. Slasher has that veteran role that Clayster took over, and then Hook is the young gun of Hydra, kind of, and the stud who we know can be great. Then Asim takes the same role, and then Gunless just does his thing that we know. I'm excited to see what happens for the LA Guerrillas. If we had to put a label on them in the offseason, I think they're the team with the most expectations of improvement from season to season. I think they have the opportunity to be really good. The next one that you see down there, the Seattle Surge have finally found a roster. We know there was a lot of stuff that happened this offseason. They've changed management. Coaches have switched around. So they're really trying to do an entire facelift on the organization. And we'll see, because they need it just as much as LA Guerrillas did. They're a laughing stock of the Call of Duty League. Everybody has said that they've wasted Octane's potential for the past 2 years. He's had positive KDs. He's looked good, and he just hasn't had the correct pieces around him. Whether that be a management problem, a coaching problem, or just a team chemistry problem, I don't know. But the Seattle Surge have not gotten it done, and they are firing in the offseason to pick up young guns. They get Pred and Sib out of the challenger scene. So 2 young guys are stepping into the league, and then you get that veteran leadership and accuracy. I'm happy to see him come back. I wanted him to be back in the league. I think that he looked really good last season. He's just needed a shot to get back into things. So Mac gets shipped away from the subliners. Accuracy and him will pair up, and then Pred and Sib will be flying around the map. We know what those guys have done in the challenger scene. I Hold Shift has had nothing but praise about those guys, so I'm excited that they get their shot, and maybe they'll be staple household names in the Call of Duty League. Could they be the next Simp and Abizi? Could they be the next Hydra? I don't really know. The expectations, I mean, everyone has to be on an equal playing field who is forming a new roster. Let's just say that. The Atlanta FaZe, they're up here. Toronto Ultra, they're a step below them. Then all these roster changes, everyone is like, okay, you started the baseline of here. You have the opportunity to either escalate or decline. What are you going to do with it? So Seattle Surge, they're going after the young players with the contracts. I don't know if that's a monetary decision to try and save some money, get these guys on early contracts, and if they paid up for accuracy and Mac. But regardless, that's the decision they've made. So those 3, as you can see from breakingpoint.gg, those are all confirmed. The next one is a rumor. So the Florida Mutineers looking to stick with Havok. I think he was really good in the last World War II game, and then also in Modern Warfare. You know, he needs to get a chance to have that kind of game set and mechanics back, because we know this is a World War II setting, so we can compare it from a World War II game, but pretty much it's more of a Modern Warfare season in my opinion. I've always loved Havok as a player. He sacrifices everything. He does not care about his stat line. He just wants to win, and I think that's incredible. Other than that, you see Dave Patty and then Awakening and Skies. So they're really trying to keep the foundation of this Mutineers roster is what the rumor is, with Havok, Awakening, Skies, and then the big one you see there is Neptune no longer there. There's rumors of him being on bigger teams, and we'll get to that in just a moment, but this Florida roster, I really like the management and the brand that the Mutineers have, and they perform time and time. They were a middle-of-the-road team throughout the entirety of the season. So they're really looking for one of those young guys out of the Challengers team to just push them over the edge, get over the hump, and be a top-tier team. So I think the rumor could be true of what happens with this roster, and we'll see what comes from it. The next one, the big one, Nadeshot, obviously flashing his bank account with the $27 million to get himself a Call of Duty franchise spot. If you guys didn't see that clip, you can go find it on Twitter. But this team has potential to be nasty. Envoy, Draza, Kenny, and Octane. This is the opportunity to have Octane finally reach his full potential as a main AR. I think you have a possibility of a great shot caller and in-game leader in Envoy. And then, like I said, this is basically Modern Warfare, but it has a World War II kind of emphasis to it as well. And we all know the season that Kenny had on TK in World War II. He was absolutely disgusting. He was also a good player in Modern Warfare. So I think Kenny has MVP potential. If I was a betting man, we can bet in Arizona now, I would put an opportunity for Kenny to be MVP at the end of this season. I've always liked Draza as a player. I liked him since he was a rookie in Modern Warfare. He proved himself enough last year in Cold War, and now he gets a shot again to do it with a big boy roster and one that I think can stick together for the entire season. This could be the best team in the Call of Duty League by the end of the season. Envoy makes the big flashy plays, but he's also disciplined and an incredible shot caller with a great IQ. That's his skill set. You love to see it. Draza is just an insane player. I like the way he moves around the map. He makes the high percentage play, but also he can get flashy when he needs to and take risks from time to time. Kenny is just kind of a guy you say, hey, do whatever you want. You're disgusting. Go out. You know your role. You can fry. You can make big plays, play the objective, and everything in between. And then we all know what Octane can do with an assault rifle in his hand. He's bound to go positive all season long in every single game mode. He can clutch up and search and destroy, but the respawns, he really holds down those long sight lines and the lanes, the power positions. That's Octane's home. He just sets up camp there and just beams kids all the way across the map. That's a well-rounded, well-versed team. I think that the LA Thieves have a great shot. Let's talk about some of these rumors now. NYSL, Clayster apparently going to stay there with Hydra, which I like. And then this is the big move, pairing the SMG duo with Neptune. I think the SMGs are sort of the bread and butter of the team. That's the foundation, and then you can build around that. Hydra and Neptune, two absolute units on the map, and also they're here for a long time. Young guns coming out of their rookie seasons. Depending on how the chemistry is, I think they can be incredible. I think Hydra is more of a role player who can slay out, and then Neptune is the guy who you kind of want to take over. So I think they can pair off of each other's gameplay in this SMG duo, and then you see Clayster and Crim6 possibly teaming again like they did on the Dallas Empire when they won a world championship back in Modern Warfare. And like I said, I'm going to beat a dead horse here time and time again, play a broken record. This game is the Modern Warfare engine. Who won champs? Clayster and Crim6. This favors them. I think this roster is disgusting. Top 4 team by far. After this, we already saw the rumor. We know it's confirmed of LAG, so we're going to skip that. Then you hop down to London. Afro, Nasty, Gizmo, and Zero. Talk about a young team. Afro was a beast in Cold War. He definitely should be the focal point of what London wanted to build around, and they made the correct move to do so. This is a team of question marks. Can these guys step up on the main stage? We're going to be on LAN again this upcoming year. I don't know if the format's going to be changed. I like this team a lot with Afro being the focal point. It just comes down to if everyone else can perform. Him and Zero, they are proven. It's the other two, Nasty and Gizmo. What can you guys do? I'm excited to see. Next up, we know Ultra there. Rocker, another team that stay together. I think that's a great move. Attach, Standy, Priesta, and Major Maniac. I love that roster. I said it at the beginning of last season before we even saw gameplay in Cold War. When I knew that those members were going to be a part of that roster, even when Accuracy was one of the starters, I said they were my dark horse team to win champs. Obviously, they didn't, but they did win a major. They performed really well. I love the Minnesota Rocker. Those guys are incredible. They're a great team. Shout out to Gary V, Saint. You guys are all incredible. The management group at Rocker. I love that team a lot. The final one we have to talk about before I get out of here today is the merger. I mean, it's like an episode of The Office, the merger. Optic, Dallas, buying out, combining, Hastro, Hex, everyone coming, One Love. What is the roster going to be there? The rumor has it Scump, Shotzi, Alien, Dashy. That sounds disgusting to me. I think that they can be incredible. I don't really know what's going to happen with the brand and the organization, and if we'll get a different team, maybe Cloud9 comes in and buys the spot that Optic gives up, if that's what actually happens. Regardless, you know these guys are going to be great. Scump and Shotzi having the opportunity to be an SMG duo with one another, that doesn't even seem fair to me. The season that Scump is coming off of is absolutely incredible. Like, he was awesome in Cold War. He was one of the best SMG players in Cold War. If he can continue that in this season, and we know what Shotzi can do, he's one of the best players when it comes to movement, when it comes to his gun skill and his shots. He's an all-around versatile player. I think this SMG duo can compete with Simp and Abizi whenever they match up. And then Illy, he's proven. I love what the kid can do in Search and Destroy. He's absolutely efficient there. Can he step up in the respawns? I think so. And then Dashy, highlight that, put every star and asterisk that you need to next to it. Snipers should be back in Vanguard if they are there. This is a disgusting Search and Destroy team. Dashy, put the sniper in his hand. Shotzi, let him run the speed route. Scump and Illy, you do your thing. If this is an actual confirmed roster, these guys will be absolutely disgusting. A name I want to talk about that we don't know yet is Methods. I think he deserves a spot in the league, and I feel really bad for him not being confirmed on any team yet. Hopefully, if there's expansion and there's a spot available, Methods gets on it because he feels like he had a wasted year. I think he's a really dedicated and strong player, and I'd be really sad to see him miss out on another season. Everyone, thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of The Rotation with Zhack. As always, make sure you leave a comment of everything that you thought and your opinion of what I said. Who do you think is going to be the best roster from all these rumors and confirmations? What do you think is going to happen in the CDL season? Do you like Vanguard and anything in between? Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and share with your friends. And do me a favor, share this podcast. We are trying to grow, guys. We want to be big for this season. We want this to be a place where everyone comes for their Call of Duty League information, and we're trying to find one of these as well. I'm not talking about a controller. I'm not talking about two controllers. We know what these are. These are scuffs. I'm trying to get the Rotation with Zhack to have a sponsor. I want segments to be sponsored. I'm trying my hardest. Everyone tag Scuff Gaming down below, and everyone else that you can think of. Logitech, Astro, Turtle Beach, whatever it may be in the gaming community. We're looking for some big sponsors because the Rotation with Zhack will be doing big things in the years to come. You better believe it. Once again, thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in to episode number 27 in the off-season, season 2 of The Rotation with Zhack. I love you all so much, and we'll see you next time. Peace.